Hey everyone,
Hi.
how's it going? Sorry about the delay there. We have what's supposed to be a simple setup for everyone. We have a demo and a streaming computer, so it got a little complex here, and we just literally threw this together in the last hour and a half or so. So please bear with us. This is myself, Justin, if you don't know me already, and this is Bradley.
Hi.
Probably recognize us from somewhere around Seattle. Um, so first off, we just wanted to just thank you for tuning in, and we figured we'd start this series. We don't have a direction for future episodes. We wanted to just at least cover the basics on live streaming and just to get you started. So we're going to cover a few different topics of the basis with streaming, and then from there we might go to some more advanced topics or demo some other alternative gear. So we'll just kind of play it by ear. Feel free to ask us questions as we go along. If it's a topic we're going to cover soon, then we'll just ask you to hang tight. But if it's another question, just feel free to ask us. If you hear cats meowing in the background, that's just my cats. I just fed them. They just want more attention, but they can't be in the studio. So yeah, we're going to cover that. So before we go through the basics, I just wanted to talk a little bit about. Oh, we left the chat here. Oops, I don't know why that happened. Maybe I'll pull it up on my phone.
Oh, how do we get the chat?
It should be right here.
I'll get it.
Yeah, up there we go.
Back.
Cool. Audio's down, so I don't have to worry about that. Just wanted to cover like why live streaming, and why not just do a video and upload it to YouTube. So live streaming really enables, the key piece is the interactive element. So besides just recording some to your camera and uploading it later, you have the opportunity to act with your viewers in real time. And what's really unique about it is that they can actually change the outcome of the video that's being produced in real time. So unlike uploading to where everything's kind of predetermined and maybe you can interact with chat after the fact, it's just a really fun and engaging way to kind of let other people be a part of the production, and especially in just the times that we're in now with everyone being isolated to their home studios and homes, it just allows that extension to be able to interact and connect with people in a way that you just can't really do with video on demand. So that's kind of one of the main things. Depending on what platform you use, there's a variety of platforms. We're streaming here to Twitch today. You can literally live stream almost anywhere. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. I mean, literally everywhere. So wherever you want to go. We like to stream to Twitch due to the even more interactive features with Twitch extensions. So those allow other ways for viewers to interact, like throwing tomatoes at your screen while you're streaming, or doing a clickable heat map to where your viewers can literally guide you. Maybe you're playing like a video game or something, or you're doing a piece of art and they want you to like paint over here. You can like see that heat map and interact with it in real time. So those are available on Twitch, and Twitch is also the largest streaming platform in the world, so it's a good place for creatives to come, not just video games. So that's why we're streaming there.
Yeah, Twitch really sort of indexes heavily on the live aspect. So while it'll keep a video of your past streams around for a little while, kind of depending on what level you are in Twitch, it may keep it for 14 days or 60 days. But after a while, that video on demand will expire. So it really is meant for sort of engaging in that live experience, that interactivity,
Yep.
or some of these gamification features where you can have wheel spins and games and things like that kind of happening on top of your stream. Some of these other destinations, like YouTube, for example, if you stream there, it will hold on to the video on demand indefinitely. So if you're interested in archiving something permanently, YouTube's generally a good place to do that. And again, Twitch, great for the live experience. And a lot of times people will stream to multiple destinations at once. That's a little more complicated, but there are services like Restream which will let you do that. That's probably a topic for a future stream, because we're going to just kind of cover the basics here. But You could pick one destination, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, and they'll all kind of work the same way in terms of how you configure the software to point at that destination.
Yeah, thanks Former C for asking that same question. Hopefully that answers your question. I think as far as like different platforms too, like Twitch is a lot more quirky, and so heavy use of emotes and chat. It's literally an entirely additional language, and then there's just the variety of content to it. You just never know where you're gonna find when you just pop onto twitch.tv. So yeah, thanks for asking that question. So after streaming destinations, with live streaming, you can set up all of the stuff that you see here, everything, but if you don't have a solid network at home, you're not going to be live streaming anything, no matter what you set up here. So I want to touch on that real quick. So for live streaming, you're looking at your upload speed, and I'm not going to try to keep it pretty high level here, but typically you want to have at least twice the amount of upload speed as the overall output bandwidth that you're sending out on your stream. So what you're watching here right now is a 720p stream at about 2.5 megabytes. So if you multiply that, that's 5. So you'd want to have at least 5 megabytes. A lot of people might not have 5 megabytes up. So you want to adjust your output bandwidth or bitrate accordingly. So maybe you want to drop it down instead of 2.5, maybe it's 1.5, maybe it's 1. So you want to take a look at your upload speed and make sure that you're within that and you have a little bit of wiggle room with any fluctuations on your network.
You might want to tell people, I think most people probably know how to do a speed test, but it never hurts to kind of...
Speedtest.net.
Speedtest.net.
Yeah, that's a good first step. As we're going along with this too, working on a Google document, so any kind of links that we mention, we'll just put that all in one document, as well as any gear that we call out. We'll put that in something that anyone can access and view, and take a look at it. With the network, you want to make sure that you have a solid network. If you aren't able to have that upload speed, you can always use the same techniques we're going to go through here, and you can always record it. There's two options there. You can record it and publish it later to an online platform, or with Twitch, you can actually do a pre-recorded live stream of that content. So it's kind of like you've seen the shared Netflix watching Chrome extension that people are doing. So you can essentially do like a watch party of that pre-recorded content. So you upload it, and then you just click when you want it to start, and it's you don't have to worry about it. So those are two options there if you don't have the network for streaming.
One thing just to say, so network is certainly one of the ingredients that you're going to need. You have some way to get to the outside world, and that could be wired or wireless. Obviously, wired is going to be probably more effective. So if you're doing your speed test, recommend getting an adapter, kind of like this, an Ethernet adapter that you can plug an Ethernet cable into to your router. That's one way to do it, or Wi-Fi in a pinch. Recommend doing speed tests of both and trying to understand which is going to be better. But in addition to the network, there's a few ingredients that we're going to talk about in the most basic setup. One is a laptop and the software that you will run on that laptop, which will be OBS, and it's free. You can download it. Another element is a camera. So we'll talk about different kinds of camera options, whether it's a webcam or a DSLR camera or a video camera or USB camera that you have. We'll talk about different ways of getting the camera inputs connected. And that's so between webcam, laptop, free software, and a decent network. That's kind of the 4 ingredients that you need for a really basic live streaming setup. And we'll talk about the flavors of that and the tips and tricks, but really that's kind of the essential elements that you're going to want to have.
Yep, and of course there's other options outside of OBS. We're going to focus on OBS since it is the free option, and a ton of broadcasters use it. So it's once you learn that, you can kind of jump around to various, especially if you're collaborating with other artists. It's nice if you're all on one platform and you're familiar with it instead of having to learn 3 or 4 different various softwares.
Yep.
Cool. So yeah, let's switch over. We have a couple different views here on our main machine. We have this wide camera that you're looking at, this wide shot, and then we have we're capturing this desktop of OBS. So I'm going to switch over to that scene. You'll still hear us talking. Later in the show, we might try to do some other setups. Maybe do like a picture-in-picture with a camera and the setup. That's one of the cool things about OBS is it's so flexible. So really, whatever kind of content you're doing, you could be gaming, you could be doing some tutorial, you could just be putting visuals in there. It could just be maybe your modular rig and some visuals. It could be pretty much anything. So we'll switch over to that now.
And that could be a
And
USB
we're back.
microphone.
Sorry about that.
Or an audio interface. So being able to bring in the sound elements into a stream often requires maybe an extra box that connects to your computer through USB and allows you to connect multiple sound devices into it. So that's yet another ingredient that might be important for most people.
Yeah, and just to explain what happened there earlier, so I'm reusing this template that I was using earlier, and I had a scene in OBS that there's a visibility icon, and when you toggle it on and off, it's a quick way to just hide an asset in your scene, and so it was toggled off, and so I just toggled back on and fix it, so that's what was going on there. Cool, so what you're looking at in OBS here, you're seeing two screens. We intentionally didn't really plug much in because we want to try to do some of it with you. And so right now you're looking at, we went live. This is just a logo here. When you go live, it's common, like what you saw here, to have something on the screen that's to the like of starting soon. So that way you can go live, plug your URL into all your various channels or social media, wherever you want to promote the stream. And then like get situated. Maybe you want to get something to drink. One last chance to use the bathroom before you're sitting here for 2 or 3 hours. Whatever it is, feeding your cats. So you can get situated, and then you can go over and switch over to your camera. Just gonna check to see if there's any questions in chat before we move too far. Going back to chat. I think we're shortcutting. There we go. Cool. Then do we lose the chat?
Yeah, it resets chat when you go to it, so we need to probably pin it.
Let me figure out how to make this not go to sleep real quick.
I can get my computer going. I have a separate computer for this.
3 laptops. You have a laptop right here? If I just set the display to not turn off, then it will not work. There we go. Oh, it should be fine now. Alright, so you guys, our chat just cleared, so if you did just ask a question, please re-ask it.
Okay. Yeah, I have chat up now on this.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Do you want to just have it in your lap like that?
Yeah, I'll just hold it.
Okay, cool. Alright, I'll switch this one up here. Cool. So with OBS, you're looking at 2 windows. This is called Studio Mode. So you can see my cursor here. You can toggle this on and off. I'm using a pretty old MacBook Pro here. And so depending on the graphic capability of your machine, your computer might be a little fussy if it has Studio Mode on. You can see down here the CPU utilization, 50% 15 frames per second, so we're losing some frames here. Not very high CPU utilization, but this laptop's just really old. So what this allows you to do is see your preview, what is going to show up on your live stream, and then your program feed of what is currently going out to your live viewers. So if you don't have the resources to show this mode, you can always just toggle it off, and then at that point you're just going to see what is going out to the stream. So you can see here my computer was like, thank you for not using so many resources, and now we're back up at 30 frames per second. But for demo purposes, we'll show you studio mode so you can kind of see what we're doing here, and then we'll transition it to the live feed. Granted, this computer isn't actually streaming out to another destination, so we'll just pretend like it is in this case. So the get started with OBS, you want to bring in these various resources. You have your cameras, your microphones, whatever it is. These are all going to go into your scenes here. And so you have different scenes, and I kind of like to think of these as like different slices of one giant cake. So if you have your begin shortly scene here, you have your program feed. These are just some that are in here. Maybe you have an intermission, say in the middle of your stream, you want to take a break, and you have a different graphic in there that says like, we'll be right back, something like that. So these are all the different scenes that would comprise your program, and you can switch between them with a click. I guess I can do that safely without actually in real life. Without studio mode, I would actually be changing the scenes that I'm streaming out. So for demo purposes, we can kind of cut around between all these different scenes, and we're still going to be sending out our main stream here.
So the way I think about it too is like a scene is a collection of different sources, and one of those sources, might just be a graphic. One of those sources might be a camera input. One of those sources, might be audio coming in from somewhere. So each scene you can assemble all of these different sources together and arrange them the way you want in the view. And so, for the case of like the begin shortly or intermission, maybe it's just a graphic, and maybe it's got like a different audio feed going to that. Maybe your program is going to be a collection of cameras that you can switch between. So yeah, that's the way to think of it. Is you can get away with streaming just with one scene if you want and turn sources on and off, or you can set up different scenes with the sources already kind of configured the way you want and switch between scenes.
Yeah. And your sources, like if we're going to go with the cake analogy again, they're like different layers in your cake. So you can think about these as literally all being stacked on top of each other. So if I was to, there was another visual source in here, and I was going to move them down. You can move them around with these arrow keys down here, and then the plus and minus keys are where you add and remove layers. If I shifted it down in between, you would literally see it disappear underneath. So it's a visual way to be able to also organize all of your sources that are comprised within a single scene.
Maybe we should make a new scene from scratch and just add a webcam to it and just kind of show what it looks like to me.
Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to go to scenes. We're going to hit the plus sign up here. We're going to call it whatever we want to. So we have a webcam set up right here. So let's say this was like our close-up camera. So you just hit enter there, and it creates it right here. And then you can also organize these if you would like as well to maybe have them be more sequential if you kind of have thought ahead of time of what you're going to be doing with your stream, or just to organize them in a way that makes sense to you. It doesn't really matter. So once you have the close-up camera here, we're going to go to the plus sign here. Also, before we add any sources, we want to make sure they're actually plugged in so the computer can detect them. So let's double check that. I'm just going to switch over to back to the wide shot again. So this is our camera that we're plugging in. This is a Logitech C920.
It's in the hub.
Oh, it's in the hub. All right. My computer, and maybe yours as well, depending on how many available USB ports you have. I have 2, and I think one of them doesn't even work on this computer. So I have a USB hub right here. It's actually taped to the table. There you go. You see it? Yeah. So this has 10 USB ports on it. Works pretty well. So I actually have it plugged into there, and then that's plugged into the computer.
One thing we've learned through Monster Planet is powered USB hubs are definitely going to be more reliable than an unpowered hub. So if you can get a USB hub that has a separate power adapter on it, whether it's USB powered or wall powered, that's going to make a big difference.
All right. So back to OBS. We have it plugged in. We're going to hit this plus sign. And you can see there's a ton of different types of sources you can bring into OBS. So for video, we're going to add a video capture device. So we'll click that. And then we can call this whatever we want to. If we have multiple cameras going on, we might want to be a little more creative with the naming scheme. I'll just call this close-up webcam. If we had additional sources, you can see these existing. Say we've already added a source and we're making a new scene and we want to just throw in existing sources. That's what this add existing is, and there's a drop down and you can just go ahead and choose them. So once we name it, we're going to go and create it. We have any questions in chat so far?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Another unique thing about live streaming that you'll see broadcasters do a lot is, especially with new viewers coming in, like what I'm about to right now, is reintroduce your content. So live streaming is very transient. So we have viewers coming in and out. So when someone jumps in, it's like almost flipping through TV channel to some random channel, and they're like, what's going on? So for those of you that are just joining us that haven't been from the beginning, this is Bradley and I'm Justin. And we're just walking through to how to get you started with the simple live streaming setup. And we're taking questions live in chat, so feel free to reach out. So going back to OBS, we have that camera. We're going to choose the device. Seeing the drop down, HD Pro Webcam C920. I'm going to go ahead and select it. Hey, and we can see that it's working. I'm going to move this over so you can see what's happening in this preview window. So you can see that right now it's actually not taking up this full frame of the, this is called your canvas. And so that's just because with this webcam in particular, it's defaulting to a 1920 by 720 preset. Our canvas is actually set at 1080p. So what we want to do to take up that full canvas is we actually want to, I don't know why it's not labeled, it's just called high, but this is the 1080p preset. So we'll select that, and you can see it now pops to a full frame here. And this is crazy because the demo camera is now also another camera inside of the scene selection. So 2 in 1. Nice. So once we've done that, we're going to click OK. And you can see it here in the preview. So there we go. We added our first source. You can see on the table that Bradley is demoing right now, this is another microphone, so that'll be our next step. We'll plug in a microphone via USB, but you can also see right below that is a Focusrite USB audio interface. We'll touch on that a little bit later, but just kind of preluding to that there are multiple ways to get in your audio sources if you don't want to just use a USB device. All right, so we've added that.
So we made the scene, but what's actually streaming out right now is still this big M on the right. So just to reinforce what the two windows are, on the left side we're making something that no one can see yet. We're building up a scene. On the right side, that's technically what's going out to the audience. You know, if we were streaming at the moment. Now we haven't started streaming yet, but that's kind of how this would look. And then to be able to toggle between what the audience sees and what you're kind of building, you would hit the transition button in the middle of those two windows to swap them.
Yeah. I'm just pausing the previous dashboard. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and transition. There's a few different kinds. You could do a fade transition that's gonna fade depending on the amount of time that you set. So it's at a default 300 milliseconds, just like a dissolve into the next shot. You could get fancy with like various swipes, or you could just do what's called a hard cut and just instantly transition from one to the other. This is set up for a fade, so let's just take a look at that. Boom, there we go. Now we've transitioned. So if you were a viewer and this was actually full screen and not just this OBS demo, they would just see it transition from that logo to your live camera feed.
And now if you selected another scene in that list on the left, you would see that scene is showing up in a different scene.
Yeah, and what's...
Click on a different one.
I was going to just why you saw this jump around on the side here is in studio mode. It automatically selects the scene that you were just on, so it kind of creates this nice way to jump back and forth between if there's two common scenes really quickly. If you weren't in studio mode, it wouldn't do that, because whatever scene you select, it's going to instantly go live to that scene. So now if we select a different scene, go back to it, transition, we'll go back there.
Yep.
If we did this not in studio mode, so I'm going to toggle that off, save some computer resources. Now, whatever scene we select, so you want to be really sure that you're selecting the correct scene here, and that, you want that to go live out to the internet. Which one was I on? Close-up cam. Okay, so there we go. So now we're going to select close-up cam, and it's going to instantly transition.
Yeah, so in this mode, when you don't have two windows and you just have one in studio mode, anything you select in the scene is instantly going to go out to your program. Whereas the other mode with two windows lets you kind of queue up the scene you want, and when you're ready, hit the transition button.
Yep. All right, so that's a video source.
Yeah. Could we add a graphic to that video?
Let's cover the mic first,
Well, let's
and
get
then
audio, yeah.
So your basic thing. I'm gonna switch back to the main camera here. It's like a streaming DJ here.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your camera source and your audio at a basic level. That's the most minimal you could get with your stream. Even if it's not a video camera, it could be maybe a graphic or an animation or just visuals and audio. If you're going to capture any other kind of source, like we're capturing this laptop right now, or maybe you want to grab an output from your visuals rig, maybe if it's a video game, you want to capture your Switch or your PlayStation, you're going to need some kind of capture device to do that.
Now, will this camera, this has a microphone built into it, right?
It does, actually.
So
some of them, not every webcam does, but this one does in particular. It has a stereo mic.
Yeah, so this, you wouldn't necessarily need a separate mic. You could pull the audio from the camera itself.
Exactly, you could. If it's like only yourself, your voice as an audio source, that you could do that.
If it's you talking, and rather than wanting to
Yeah.
get like an instrument into the mix.
Because that mic is okay, but it's not the best quality.
Sure.
What you're seeing here, this is the Blue Yeti. It's a USB mic and it has XLR, so you could use an audio interface or you could go USB. It also has. Try to do this without touching the microphone.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they can
you
see
get a little
that.
closer?
They're actually seeing us.
Oh, let me switch scenes here. I'm using the laptop as a camera.
Yeah.
All right, so
There we go.
now we're zoomed in. You can see this mic. It's actually got 4 different polar patterns here. So we have it set up on bidirectional. So by me rotating this, it probably sounds different than where it was. But this is just helping equally pick up Bradley and I as we're talking on either side of each other. So you have various patterns there. And then on the other side, you have a handy mute button right there. And then if you were maybe monitoring directly with your headphones, you have a separate headphone adjustment right there. So that's just a quick look at that microphone.
I guess while we're on the topic of microphones and doing this,
This is the one that we're going to actually plug in live right now.
Yeah, so I bought, it's a Shure condenser microphone. It's meant to plug into a smartphone. It also has different polarity patterns you can pick. You can plug it into a smartphone, or it actually has an 1/8 inch jack on the back that we can send anywhere. So in this case, I'm taking that 1/8 inch jack and putting it into this Focusrite audio interface, and then that is USB connected to the computer that we would stream from. So we can bring in all of the audio from the Focusrite, and we'll get this mic to show up. And I think that's what Justin's about to do.
Yeah. Right before I do that, let's cut to... I just wanted to show you in OBS, say for example, we were going to add this Yeti USB microphone, which we're using it on this other laptop, so I don't want to unplug it. You'd lose us and then replug it back in. But I'll just walk through what that would look like as a source if you're going to add that. So we have our close-up camera. Say we were going to add that microphone to this source. You just go to the plus sign down here and you'd click on Add Input Capture. And then you would type in USB Yeti mic. Since I had this plugged in on this template earlier, it actually already exists here, even though it's not plugged in right now. So you would essentially type that in, and then in the drop down of the devices, you would select the Yeti mic there. But what we're gonna do to get this microphone, it doesn't have a USB on it, so we're actually going to plug it into this USB audio interface.
It's these cables right here. This is actually coming in from that mic. So they're coming in on channels 3 and 4.
So in the instance where you have audio sources that aren't USB, this is where your audio interface comes in. This is where you're going to plug in, say your maybe your stereo left-right out of your modular rig or whatever audio board system you have set up, or analog mics like this, so we're going to have an actual audio output that's not USB. So similar fashion, we're going to go back to these sources and hit the plus sign, add audio input capture. We're going to call this, I'd call it whatever the interface is called, so I'm just going to call it Focusrite. We would click OK. I checked to make sure it was plugged in earlier, but just so for your purposes, it's plugged in into our USB hub here. It's behind my laptop. Right there, the red cable, the red wire. So there it is, and then in the drop down, you're gonna select Focusrite. Which I don't see it. Is it on?
It's on.
Okay. Weird. Alright, let's try that again. Sometimes when that happens, you just have to reseat it. So I'm going to try to do that real quick. Actually, live troubleshooting. This powered USB hub, you actually have to turn on the power per port. So even though the Focusrite is on, the power button on that port is not on. So maybe I accidentally toggled it off when I was plugging and unplugging things. So now it's back on.
I've never seen a USB hub that
I guess, it's efficient. I guess you can only enable the port that you want in there when you have 10 of them. So we turn that back on. I'm just going to delete that so I can start from scratch. Add audio input capture. Focusrite. Powered on. Go to a drop down, and then this is a Focusrite Scarlett 18i8. So there it is right there. You can select it, click OK, and then you can see the metering right here. This is the audio mixer portion, so we haven't got into audio mixing yet. But when you add the audio source, or if you have multiple audio sources, this is where you can see them display here, and then their relative peak volume. So you can see if we tap on this microphone. Is there a set gain or?
Check.
Up here. Trying to turn up on that.
It's there. It's blinking.
Oh, I have pads set up on this thing, on this interface.
Yeah, you can see the green lights on the interface are going, so it's definitely getting a signal. But why it's so quiet over here?
So Focusrite control. Let's see. Device settings. Let's turn those pads off. There we go.
I see meters jumping. don't see him jumping too much in OBS though. So that's unusual.
Let me turn those up pretty loud.
I see nothing.
Okay.
I wonder. Should I try plugging him into the other side?
Sure.
And try that. Could be.
This is your mute switch right here.
Well, those are also blinking, but the focus right.
Yeah.
Maybe add the source again. I don't know.
Maybe. Let's see. It's going into the USB hub.
Oh, you have. No, I guess it's muted. That's fine. Oh no, it was just muted. Boom, there it is.
Okay. But it just took over the.
Is it coming through HDMI?
Yeah. So I think we effectively.
Kill that. Just kill that audio source over here. Mute it.
I'm not sure what this. No, it's still there.
No, that's this guy.
That's this one. Okay. All right. Well, in a normal scenario, you would see it deflecting on the meters there. So maybe we'll do some advanced troubleshooting later.
No, I think it did as soon as you unmute that.
Oh, there it is.
This mic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
It was. I just had it left on
muted.
mute.
So,
Sorry.
pro tip: unmute your sources.
Oh, and now we're creating some fun video feedback. Oh, they're not looking at that. Okay. Cool. All right. So we have our audio source in there. Transition back. Let's see.
So you're seeing the meter jump because we've got an ambient mic, a room mic plugged into it. But again, you could plug in your mixer, your modular rig, your keyboard, whatever you're using to make music. All go through the interface here, and then that just gives you one control for the master level of your interface on the stream.
Cool. All right, so we've covered a little bit of the OBS functionality here. We'll touch onto it more once we get some sources in here about how to actually configure OBS to stream out to your destination. But right now, it's just the time where you're adding everything, getting everything situated how you want it to be for your live stream. So we have the microphone. Only piece that looks like we're missing, and definitely not required. Totally up to you if you want to add any kind of graphics into your stream. That's handy for the viewer to maybe know who's on screen, or maybe you have like a set list of songs and you want to have that name of that song come up as you're streaming. Whatever kind of information, maybe it's your Instagram handle, Twitter handle, social media platforms, you can have that come up on screen. So let's walk through that. I'm going to go back to this graphic that I do have on this source here.
What if we wanted that little M, to be in the lower right-hand corner of the scene that we just created?
It's tricky because this is on a black background. It's not like a alpha layer.
Not transparent.
Yeah, but I'll add in a graphic that has an alpha layer for the purpose of this demo. So let's go back to the close-up camera. Let's see. Can you set the camera over here?
Mm-hmm. What do you want to point at?
Just like down and around. Anyway, there, yeah. Add our lovely faces. Alright. I'm sorry. Cool. Alright, so let's say we want to bring in a graphic here. I'm going to transition over here. There we go. Normally not dual wielding two OBS setups at the same time, so this is fun. Alright, so we're going to go to our sources here. Did I just open up a program? Oops. Go away. Hit the plus button, and then we're going to go to add an image layer. Um, the graphic that I chose it's actually a video file. So I think that's okay. Yeah, image layer. So we're gonna go to create new. Let's just call it. It's a lower third that I made, so we'll just call it lower third. I don't know. Call it whatever you want. Create new, and then you have to find that file in your computer's directory. I don't know why it's asking me that, but yes. So I have on my desktop here a folder with some assets in there. For the image, I usually use PNG, which allows you to utilize an alpha layer. I don't have any files in here actually that have an alpha layer. But essentially, I'll use this as an example. Say we made a graphic that has like some text here that can be used as a lower third. The background here, we would key that out so it's actually transparent. So when we bring that into the stream, you would just see the text and you would be able to see the camera shot that's right behind it. So just to demo this, actually I'm going to bring in, what I made was an animated lower third. So that is actually a media source that we want to bring in. So I'll call this lower third video for demo purposes. And then here we go. You can see that it's actually not grayed out. So we can select that as a source.
So you can actually bring in static images with or without an alpha layer or alpha channel. You can bring in animated GIFs. You can bring in movie files.
All kinds, yeah.
All kinds of media. So, and you can size and position that media any way you want. So, once he adds it as a source, we'll be able to position it exactly on the screen where we want it to be.
Yep. A couple particular things you see here with a video source. Since it's not just a static image, you have a few more options here. So if it's something, maybe it's a little reel of videos, you can have that source actually just loop in your scene, so it will just constantly be looping back to the beginning, or you can just have it play back once. If it's a really long video and you cut away from that scene and then you go back to it, you can actually have it remember where it was and continue playback in that video. However, if you just want it to restart every time you go back to that scene in OBS, you can just have the restart to go back to that beginning play position. And then you can have that asset disappear once it gets to the end automatically if you want, or it'll just pause on the last frame of that video. So for a lower third, we want it to disappear once it leaves, and we don't want it to, at least in this instance, keep popping up after it gets to the end. Right. So we select OK, and there it is. Because I'm not in studio mode, it just took it instantly in this scene since we're on that scene. So if I wanted that to re-trigger again, I would cut to another scene. So what was I on before? Program? No, I was on begin shortly. I'll go back to studio mode just so it doesn't fire instantly. So in this instance, we would queue up that shot again. If I didn't want to come on right away, as I was mentioned earlier when we were in the audio technical difficulty, right here is the visibility of each source, and so that was toggled off. And that was an audio source, so when you would cut to that scene, it actually wouldn't even come up as in being in your program. If it's audio or video, it wouldn't show up. And so if you wanted to cut to the scene and then maybe later bring in that lower third, you could go ahead and toggle that off, transition to that scene, and then because it's in studio mode, it's jumping around, but we'd go back to that scene, and then you would just enable this layer again, and then whenever you want that to pop up on your stream, you would just hit transition again, and it's going to pop up right there.
Sweet.
So there we go. Okay, cool. So that's the lower third graphic. Let me just add in a static image just so we can move it around. Because another thing with OBS and all of your sources is you might need to finesse some of the assets to position them on screen right where you want them.
Do you want to switch the program back to the OBS?
Yes, I do. Thank you. All right, so we'll go back to the image. Let's just image for stream. So we're gonna go find it. I'll just pull in. I'm just using some examples from my stream because that's really all I have ready on the computer right now. So maybe for starting soon, we didn't want it to be full screen, and maybe you do want to have your camera showing as you're getting ready to start your stream, but you want to at least communicate to your viewers that you're not quite ready yet and you have some kind of way to tell them that you're starting soon. I'm just using that as an example. So we bring in that asset, click OK. You can see the red frame around your asset. It just means that is the asset that's selected. And then just like you would see in maybe some kind of Adobe software or Illustrator where you're resizing your objects, you can just click on your asset here and I accidentally double clicked and resize that image. So without holding down shift, it's going to just relatively scale it up and down so it's the same aspect ratio. And then I'm going to leave studio mode just so it's a little bit bigger for you.
I can re-trigger the other image.
Oh, because I transitioned. Okay, funny. All right, so here you can rescale it, put it down in the corner. If you bring in an asset, maybe it's the reverse. You bring it in, and because this canvas window is 1080p, you bring in this asset and it's smaller than that resolution, but you want it to take up your entire canvas or the space on your screen. You can actually, you could manually resize it, or you can actually just right click on it and go to transform. Go to transform, and then you would click fit to screen here. That's going to keep the aspect ratio and just fit it till it goes to the top and the bottom of the screen. I'm actually inside the screen, so I'm showing with my hands what I'm doing. Or if you don't really care about maintaining that aspect ratio, you can go ahead and just click stretch to screen, and no matter what, it's going to make it fill up this entire. I'm like backwards here. This entire space on your screen. I'm trying to show what the border of the screen with my hand movements. So let's hit. It's the same aspect ratio here, this canvas as this asset. So we'll just click fit to screen, and bam, right away you have your full screen graphic there. Let's see, what other kinds of graphics might streamer want to?
The common ones are like your title screen, intermission or something, and a lower third, and you've shown kind of like the static one and a fancy animated one.
Yeah.
We sometimes roll credits.
We have an actual
user
in their chat. That's cool.
Yeah.
Did they have a question? Oh, they're just saying it's cool.
It was the animated graphic.
Oh, nice. Oh,
that's pretty cool. Tip and trick.
Did that in After Effects.
After Effects, yeah. But if you're not fancy like Justin and like I don't know how to make animated graphics in After Effects, but I can make a static image in Photoshop or Illustrator or something, and make a perfectly reasonable static lower third.
Yeah.
In Monster Planet, we have a scrolling credits, and I think we do those as movie files, don't we?
Yeah.
It's possible to do a motion path, I think, in OBS, but maybe that's beyond the scope of this talk. I thought we were actually doing some kind of motion paths, as opposed to movie files.
Oh, for like an object?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Then I don't know how we were doing it. I know we switched to movies at some point. We're gonna save that for the Monster Planet breakdown.
That's in another stream. That's some advanced techniques right there.
Yeah. Other things we could talk about though. So we've just been focusing in on this webcam for now, but there are other camera sources you might be interested in. And so the advantage of a webcam is that it plugs into your computer just as a USB source. if you want to bring in something like a fancier camera, like a DSLR camera, or here I've got little props here, or like a video camera. Both of these cameras have HDMI outputs. This one has a full-size HDMI output, and this one has a micro HDMI.
I'll play camera operator.
Oh, I think they're seeing us on the webcam right now.
I know, and I'm switching over to it.
Yeah, and so what you're going to need, though, is some way to bring that HDMI signal into the computer. So this is the standard way to do it, or the most common, is to get a capture card. This Magewell HDMI Gen 2 is a great one, and so that's what we typically use. Looks like this. Has USB-A on both sides here, and so you can plug USB-A into your computer, and then at the end of this thing it's got an HDMI that you can plug in from the camera. So that's great. You know, if you have one like very high quality source like a DSLR or something, you could bring that in addition to a webcam, and maybe have a couple of different camera angles. One advantage of using a DSLR is that you're going to be able to get like use the aperture to get kind of a bokeh effect, you know, blur the background, maybe something a little bit higher quality. Other things to kind of point out with these cameras, when you're using, specifically when you're using a DSLR camera, a lot of these cameras are not really meant to record video for very long lengths of time, because it heats up the sensor, and the camera will very likely have an auto shut-off mechanism when the sensor gets too hot. I know that my camera has a 30-minute limit on video when I'm recording locally, but if I'm just using it as an HDMI source, I don't really need to record on the camera locally. I'm just using the lens. That will keep the heat issue from being a problem. But I think another thing you're going to want to think about is how to keep the camera powered for a long stream as well. So if you're streaming more than, you know, an hour or something, your battery's probably not going to last, the camera battery. So a lot of cameras come with some way to connect an AC adapter. This one happens to use, I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically a fake battery. So it looks like a battery. And I can plug it in, you know, here, and then I can still, I can close the door and let the cable come out. And then this can be powered with a USB or a wall wart or something. And that'll keep this camera just, you know, powered up for the duration of the stream. So those are some tips on using alternative cameras, DSLRs, webcams, video cameras, in addition to webcams. Anything you wanted to add to that?
No. If you guys do have any questions on any of the cameras or microphones or any gear that we've covered so far, just let us know in chat. We're monitoring it.
We got a couple. Can you bring in a countdown as well? I guess that would just be animated. Yeah, you could do it as a movie file, you know, with a countdown that doesn't repeat. Or I think that's probably what I would do.
Yeah, there's some video files. That's just that's the simplest way to do it. There are some plugins you can install to work with OBS. So there's a few different ways. I think the movie file is the simplest. That way you can just bring it in as a source and then count it down and then just manually switch over. There's some websites, like there's a Chrome. It's either a Chrome extension or a website where you can go in and just do a counter on the fly, and then you can actually key that in. We're not going to focus too much on keying or using any kind of green scene assets, but you can bring that in as a source and then key out the background and like just create your own custom countdown timers on the fly. So there's a few options.
Yeah, I think even with that, the M that you said wasn't set up with an alpha channel, but it had a black background. I think you could bring that in and add not a chroma key, but a color key, and then select the black background as the thing you want to key out.
Yeah.
And that would sort of make the M sort of transparently sit on top of the video, even if you hadn't done. So these are, we can cover filters and chroma keying, I guess.
And if we don't cover it now, I mean, we're taking notes here, so that's a good. Maybe we'll cover it in the future. We can do countdowns. Do we have any other questions?
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, cool. So those are the basics with sources. I think maybe it's best that we go into actually how do we configure OBS to send this stream out.
Yeah. So we've got our scenes. We've built up a few different scenes, added graphics, cameras, audio. How do you actually go live?
All right. Let's look at it. So I'm going to switch back to the OBS view here so you can see what we're doing. OBS, by the way, is available on Mac or PC. So what I'm doing here, it's not specific to a Mac if you aren't using one. Just the various operating system menus here might be a little different. But OBS is going to be the same. So once we're ready to go, we want to go to the preferences in OBS. And then here is where you can configure all the details to get ready to hit that start streaming button right here, this big button right here. We talked about earlier, if you don't have the network to stream and you want to record, you can use the OBS to record everything you're doing. And so as if it were live, you just don't have that interaction piece. Or say maybe you can't stream it, but you want to do that pre-recorded live stream that we were talking about, premiering it on Twitch. You could record it, and then what's nice about that is it's still, even though it's not live, there's a level of interaction where you can at least just be in chat, and actually it's kind of a great way to just have conversations with your viewers chat only, because you have the content going and you can just focus on hanging out in chat. So that's kind of nice as well. So going back to the stream here, the first thing we want to do is grab our stream key. This is configured for something custom in advance, so I will switch that over to Twitch. So you go to the stream tab, and we talked about all the different services that you can stream to: Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. So we're going to use Twitch as an example since that's where we are right now. So we'll select Twitch. As a general rule, you want to select the closest ingest server that's available to you. So we're here in Seattle. You can do auto, and OBS will run a quick configuration to just do this automatically. But if you want to manually select a specific ingest server, you can go ahead and select that. Seattle, Washington's down here at the bottom. And then your stream key, this is what allows you to stream to your specific channel on Twitch. So every channel has a unique stream key, and say Bradley and I, we both want to stream to this one modular Seattle channel. We could either share that stream key, or we could actually each have our own. It's always best to, if say you're managing a larger channel and you have multiple broadcasters, I like to individually manage those keys. So in case one of them gets out there in the wild somehow, it gets shared, and when it does get shared, that means that person can take that key and put it into their OBS machine and stream to your channel. Now, of course, in Twitch, if that does happen on a singular level, you can always delete that key and create a new one, and then that old one no longer works. But if you're all sharing one key, if you do that, then everybody needs to take in that new key. Whereas if we actually generate a unique key per person, say something rogue happens to my key, I could just go ahead and delete that key that's tied to me and then get a new one, but it doesn't impact Bradley's key, and he can keep using that one. So in your dashboard, actually, I guess I could do that. You
can go. It's not going to show you the stream key, so you could just show where to copy it from.
All right. I just wanted to. I mean, it's default hidden.
This is actually an important point. Your stream key is.
Let's do it.
Is something you want to protect, and you don't want to you want to share it with people that you trust to be able to stream to your channel, or maybe you don't trust anyone and that's just your own stream key. But it is a sensitive piece of information that you don't want to get out there, because basically anyone with that stream key can go live on your channel. So you'll notice that whenever you're in an interface to copy stream keys, typically they won't show them. It'll kind of look like a password. Then there's a button to reveal the stream key should you want to see it, but be careful about revealing that to anyone that you don't trust.
And we're talking about Twitch right now, but pretty much any streaming platform, you're going to see a very similar thing with the key, because this is just how the technology works. For this purpose, I'm just going to show you where to find it on your Twitch channel. So you want to go to your username icon here in the upper right hand corner, and go down to settings. And then you want to go over to channel and video. Channel and videos. And then right here, all you have to do is click copy. And you got it. And then I'm just going to...
This is also just while you're here, a good time to just show that at the bottom here under permissions, it says people who can stream to your channel. That's a way you can generate stream keys for other users.
Yep. Say you were maybe a collective, Untitled Collective, for example.
They can't see it.
Oh, they can't see it. Oh, darn it. Oh, well. If you want to all share a channel, you could generate stream keys per person. So we've gone and copied that, switch back over to OBS. We would go in and paste that in since this is the demo computer.
No, I don't know if it'll show. Will it show as a password?
I don't think so.
I think you're right. I think it'll just
Well,
show as
yeah, you would just paste it right there.
Yeah.
If it does happen, I mean, I'll just generate a new one. It's fine. I'll have to just reset it.
Go for it. Do it.
Okay. Yay!
Oh,
all right. So if you click show, it would actually show it. So that's good to make sure that you don't have an extra space in there or the wrong key to double check. So then once you have your stream key in there for whatever platform, Twitch, for example, we're just using there, you go to output, and then this is where this is by default. I don't want to go into too many of these settings right now because we're not really actually going to change any of these settings. But this is if you wanted to actually configure maybe a different type of encoding, bit rates. We can cover that in a future stream, some more advanced stuff there.
Although the bit rate was where you said you were doing a 720 stream at 2500 kbps.
Yes.
So that was the 2.5 megabytes you were talking about, where you wanted a 5 megabit per second upload speed. So
yes.
That's what he's talking about.
So if you weren't here towards the beginning, we were talking a little bit on networking, and as a general rule, you want to have about twice the bandwidth as the minimum upload speed that you need to send your stream out. So right here, this is your bit rate. Earlier, usually go with 2500 for a 720 stream, but if you don't have that upload speed, you could reduce that down. Essentially, you'll be reducing that to the point so you can actually send a stream out, depending on your upload bandwidth. Speedtest.net, make sure to check that before you start streaming so you can get an idea of how much available bandwidth you have to send out. So right here in bitrate is where you would lower that or increase it. So that's really the only option I would worry about right now changing to get started. Audio sample rates. This is really only important if you have a different sample rate set up in your system versus what OBS has. For film, 48 kilohertz is actually the standard sample rate for audio. So that actually might be a good thing to check if your audio interface, a lot of them are set up for 4:1 for maybe a typical audio recording. But it's that's what you can change there. On video, this is the main setting that you would adjust depending on your available bandwidth and resolution that you're going to send out for your stream. So your base canvas resolution, this is the canvas resolution here that we're working inside of in OBS. So this resolution here is set at 1920 by 1080. The reason why it's not the same as even though we're outputting 720, I like to capture the highest quality available and then degrade the quality. It's kind of like a garbage in, garbage out method. So I just like to, especially if maybe you don't have the bandwidth to stream, but you do to record and you want to generate that 1080p recording, you're always starting there, and then you can always go down from there if you need.
That canvas resolution is also the resolution you'd want to generate your full screen graphics at. So if you need a big splash screen that says stream will start soon, or we're having an intermission or anything, you would use that resolution and then fit it to the screen.
For your assets, yeah. In whatever software you're using to create those assets. Yep. All right, so we have our audio, we have the video, we have our stream key. Those are the main things to go. So once you have those plugged in,
how do we go
you click OK to make sure you save all those settings, which I just did. And then you'd hit the start streaming. I'm not actually going to click this because it would literally start streaming to my channel. I can take the stream key out just for demo
fine.
purposes.
We should probably cover
Actually,
Twitch,
I should
streaming.
do that to show it might just give me an error that there's no stream key. Let's see.
I was going to say we might want to cover Twitch versus YouTube in this case because there's some differences.
Okay. It's just not connecting, so it might time out here in a second. Sorry, what was that?
Twitch versus YouTube in terms of how you would go live, because with Twitch you're going to put in the stream key, you're going to hit start streaming, and it's just going to go right. But with YouTube, you're going to go to the YouTube interface and hit go live, and it's going to set up. It's actually going to configure YouTube to accept the stream from OBS. Then you're going to go put the stream key into OBS and start streaming, which will then show as a preview in YouTube. And then you still have to go back to YouTube and hit go live there. So I think showing that workflow is an interesting. I think a lot of people here might be interested in YouTube over Twitch, and it'd be worthwhile to show those two differences. But.
I don't know what I have configured for YouTube on my computer to set it up.
I see.
But just to cover the main difference, where when you go live in OBS to the Twitch channel, it's going to instantly, as soon as that stream hits your channel page, it's going to be live. Whereas with YouTube or Facebook is similar, you're creating this live event, and when you click go live, you're actually sending your stream to their servers, and it's capturing it, but it's not visible to your viewers yet. So you have the option to, once you see that stream, maybe you just want to verify that it's going to the right places, at the right event on YouTube or Facebook. You would actually click in the UI the go live button, and then it would be visible to your viewers. So it's just an extra step. It's not really better or worse, it's just a different way to go live. I did want to show you, so it did time out and gave me that error message. So right here you can see could not access a specified channel or stream key. So this right away you'd be able to tell, oh, okay, either I didn't put the stream key in there, or it's the wrong stream key, or maybe I put in a space on accident. So this would let you know that.
I can show the YouTube scenario.
Okay.
And I think the way to do that might be.
Do you have a HDMI port?
I do, and maybe we should just use this as an opportunity to show off how we're going to use the Magewell.
Okay. I could also just unplug this HDMI and plug it in your laptop.
Let's plug it into this and show them, adding this.
Do I have a spare? Oh, well, one of my USB ports doesn't work. We can try it.
Is that hub in the back? Or that's the hub
yeah. We can plug it into the hub.
Yeah.
All
right. So we're gonna basically take the HDMI output. I mentioned you could use this Magewell to take the HDMI from your DSLR camera or any other HDMI source, but this could be the output of a TV, it could be really anything, and so we're going to use the output of my laptop to bring this into our little test stream scenario right now. And I have an HDMI cable, so I'll plug that into my computer.
I'll turn off. I'm hiding that lower third layer so that it doesn't keep activating when I'm switching between these scenes.
Okay, now I think we want to switch what they see to be OBS.
Okay, cool. Alright, so we plug that in. We're going to go plus sign. We're going to go to video capture device, which we walked through earlier. I'm going to call this, call it capture card. If you have multiple capture cards, you want to start naming them maybe after the source that's plugged into it, just so you can keep them straight. So create new, and then we'll actually select that. USB capture HDMI number 2, and there it is. Like we were saying, how these capture cards, webcams in the earlier case, there's default to choose a 720 or the 1280 by 720 preset, and we would just want to select high, which is the 1080 resolution. So we'll select that so it goes full screen here, and then click OK. And there it is.
Cool. So, and that actually looks like it's...
In a actual live scenario, we would be in studio mode, and we would be doing this either ahead of time or in preview, so that way we're not doing it live on camera if you care about that. But for demo purposes, it's easier just to see this on a larger screen inside of OBS.
Yeah.
OBSception right now.
I know. So it is OBSception.
Which is part of the reason why it's a little confusing to do this. But
okay, so what we're looking at here is YouTube, and I'm in the studio of YouTube.
There's actually no camera on the screen.
No, and so
I'm gonna keep going.
I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna start from scratch and go to YouTube and just show you how I got here too, because I find it a little confusing. So, we can go back to studio mode. I can't even see what I'm doing.
Oh, you're using this as the monitor. Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm in extended mode.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go to the Modular Seattle channel on YouTube. Your channel. Here we are on our channel. When I'm logged in as me, I'm the owner of this channel. I can click on YouTube Studio. That takes me to their studio interface. And then up in the top right corner, there's this create. So I can say go live. Okay? Once I've done that, it's going to take me to a place where I can create a new stream. I can say, stream now or create a new stream. Here, I'll just create a little test here. So I'll say new stream. And we'll give it a name, like test stream. And test stream. Okay, and answer a few questions. Answer the copper question. This is not for kids. And then now I'm in, it creates a new stream for me. And just like we saw in Twitch, we have a place where we can copy the stream key for this. I can do that. And then this URL here would be the server URL that we would go put into OBS. So I guess at this point, I could.
We can pretend.
We can pretend. We don't have to do it. But I guess the point is.
Well, let's look at it in OBS and see how these compare.
I actually think we could do it because I want to show how you get a preview over here. But.
Oh, okay.
So I think I can copy it, and I can. If you want to hide this source real quick.
Yep.
Or no, never mind. I can come over to another window that they can't see and paste it to you in Messenger. And then you can grab it.
Okay. Hopefully I'm logged into Messenger on this computer. It's just messenger.com, right? Or
yeah.
Okay. I'm not logged in. I can get it.
You don't want to do it while they can see it though.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
let's go to this camera.
Great. Right. And now I'm gonna send you a stream key, which I just did.
Okay, in Messenger.
Yeah. Do you want the YouTube URL too?
Yes. Actually, are you in email? Can you email it to me because I'm not logged into Facebook and I have no idea what my password is. How are you guys doing? Is this, hopefully this is adding value to your lives. Us getting these streams set up. Let us know what you think. If you're enjoying it, if there's maybe something you want us to cover in a future stream.
Okay, I just mailed it to you. So I mailed you the server URL and the stream key.
Okay. I'm going to open up just a notepad here for copying and pasting. I'll just make sure I'm not on it while live. Come on. Alright, copy and paste. I'm just going to do this one at a time just to be extra safe. So OBS. Alright, so
Okay.
back on OBS. Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take the stream key and the server URL that we got from YouTube, and we're going to go put it in here. So
not Twitch no more. YouTube.
Not Twitch, but YouTube, and then paste in the stream key.
Primary server URL. Ingest server. Oh, primary backup.
Primary.
Oh, primary. Okay. So it's just this. They just have the same primary ingest for everyone.
Yeah, I think they do. And in fact, I don't think you have to.
Then
you probably didn't need the server.
I was thinking of so you can go to custom here, and then this is like platform agnostic, so you could put in any ingest server here. So that's what I was thinking initially, but we don't even need
YouTube.
To do that.
You can see down in the left side of the screen here, you have a couple of RTMP addresses. So that's the server URL you could put here. It just so happens that OBS has just a setting for YouTube that will set that for you without you having to paste it in. But you could do it this way too. You could copy and paste it into this server URL. It would work just fine.
Yeah, and why you see there's two here is this is just a redundancy that's built in. So if something happened to your main primary stream, it would just fail over to this secondary backup one here too. This feature is only available to, I think, partner Twitch streamers right now at the moment. But you guys don't need to worry about that right now.
So let's go ahead and paste those in, and then we can show what happens in the YouTube interface when we go live. Oh, well, now we've shown it.
Well, I'm not on it anymore. Yeah. I made sure to cut away. Now I'm going to come back. Alright. So going back to YouTube. Paste in the stream key.
Sweet. Alright, now if we go to OBS and we go live.
Should I cut to something like maybe this camera that's not the capture? Well, I guess they want to see it too, huh? Is it going to create some stream video
will totally
feedback?
Okay,
well, cool.
inception.
Why not? Let's do it.
All right. Well, we're going to go live, and then we're going to see a lot of video feedback. I think.
I just want to double check my output here for the stream. Okay, or video. Yeah. Okay, video 720p, outputting 1500. Cool.
So in this case of YouTube, when you start streaming,
the stream,
there's an extra step you're going to have to take over in YouTube. So you start streaming, and this little spinning wheel in the top right corner or the top left corner you see, that's YouTube waiting for OBS to start sending some data to it.
Before that, though, you can see OBS here is freaking out a little bit. So either the network it doesn't like, you can see these drop frames here. You essentially don't want to have any drop frames, or occasional drop frame every so often is not too big of a deal. But if this is into the hundreds, almost thousands now, so that means this stream is actually having a hard time reaching its ingest server to its destination.
Could be that we just have a lot of computers trying to.
It could be. I'm on that network. And then you can also see that network bandwidth here. It's it's not even able to send out that 1500 kilobit stream. And then you might see things with the CPU jump up to something crazy. So let's stop that.
Don't think it's gonna go.
I don't think so. It's stopping the stream right now. I'm gonna try just popping onto a different network.
We could just describe in words, I think, at this point, if you want.
Okay.
So
I mean, you would see it here.
Yeah, what we would do is we would press, start stream. Right now, it's in the midst of stopping, but you would start the stream, and then what you would see is where you see YouTube kind of spinning, waiting for content to show up. Your stream would show up there, and once it did, then you're ready to go live. And then you would press the go live button in the top right in the YouTube interface. Right here, there's a go live button. So once you actually have the preview of the content from OBS, you go to the YouTube interface and you go live, and then you're live on YouTube. So slightly different, and it's kind of similar for Facebook in a way.
Yeah.
You create the stream first, and then you start streaming from OBS to Facebook, and then in the Facebook interface you're going to see your stream preview, and then in Facebook you press a go live button to make it actually go live. So subtle differences between destinations and good things to know about.
Yep. Another thing about OBS is, say you get this all set up for a certain type of stream, and then maybe later in the week you want to do a completely different type of stream. So instead of having to redo this all over again, you can go to Scene Collection, and you can essentially save these as various scenes. So you could have your music setup stream, or maybe your creative drawing session stream. So you can save these as different scenes, so that way you can really quickly recall all these settings that you've seen us configure. So that's something that's good to keep in mind, and that you don't have to worry about having to start from scratch every single time.
Sometimes there is the occasion of having to go reconnect the sources if you haven't got them all plugged in exactly the same way, but the configuration of the scenes would be the same.
Mm-hmm.
We have a question. Is there minimum hardware requirement for OBS, or suggested at least have this?
I would say for your laptop, for a Mac, for a HD stream, if you're sending out an HD stream, you at least want to have a Core i7 processor in there to handle the HD video encoding. But if you're not able to do that, I mean, not every streamer even sends out an HD stream. So really, it's in kind of the audio video production world, people are a lot more forgiving of bad video than they are of bad audio. So maybe you don't have the highest quality video stream, but it sounds decent. People are a lot more willing to they perceive that as a quality stream, versus if it maybe it looked good but the audio was really bad, they're not going to want to listen to that for an extended period of time.
Cool.
What we're also going to show here in a second too are options outside of PC streaming. Say you don't even have a laptop, but you still want to create content. There's a few different options for that. So your phone is essentially a personal computer. There's options for that where you can plug in devices into your phone. We'll get the close-up camera set up so you can look at this. Actually, I'll just hide this capture. Boom. And switch the view.
All right. This is a device that I bought a while ago.
So before any devices, so literally with your phone, it's got a built-in microphone, camera. So it might not be the best quality, but you could go live. Recommend you try to connect to a wireless network for your stream. But on top of that, you can incorporate additional microphones to get a better quality audio signal than what's built in, and that's what Bradley's showing off here.
Yeah. Obviously, you can Instagram all day with just your phone, and you can get ambient audio from your phone's mic. But if you're a streaming musician and you want to do something, and maybe you're doing this in a mobile environment where you don't have the luxury of a laptop and a bunch of cameras, or maybe you just want a lightweight setup, this is actually a pretty cool option. So the Go Mixer Pro has a micro USB to Lightning adapter, and I can plug that into the phone, and it has an XLR microphone input. It has two instrument line level inputs for like a left-right stereo off a mixer or a modular rig or a keyboard. And then it's got a separate monitor out. You can wear headphones, and you've got some basic mixing capabilities here. So this is like a really kind of inexpensive. I think might be a couple $100, and I believe I got this on a Black Friday for $100. It often goes on sale. But what it'll let you do is bring in high quality audio into your phone, so that you can use the normal camera or Instagram camera, to record your video, but you're getting the audio here, and so you can bring in, say, a microphone source along with your modular, and you're good to go. So this is great for short Instagram videos. It's also great, for even a longer stream.
Cool. Also, well, this microphone over here has the capability to plug into your phone too, right? And this is.
Yeah, it's going to be really.
Does that require more hardware?
Oh, I was going to say I could even plug that in here, but so.
A little more affordable option than the $200 device. Or?
Yeah, so this Shure microphone is called a Motiv, M-O-T-I-V, and it comes with this little tripod, and it comes with this bracket to put your iPhone in. So this is kind of an all-in-one solution for high-quality audio. Even if you don't have the GoPro mixer, you can get kind of good ambient room audio. Maybe you're using this for like an interview or just spoken word or something. And yeah, you can plug the, instead of using this 1/8" monitoring jack, I could use headphones in this if I wanted, but I can come out of the micro USB and go into, there's a micro USB to Lightning just like this, and then there's an app on the phone, which you're not going to be able to see very well unless I plug into that Mage well, but the app lets you choose from different types of microphones, and then different microphone polarity patterns, which, let's see if I can get to that. Here we go. You are not going to be able to see that, probably.
I'm trying to get it to adjust the exposure.
But yeah, you have these different polarities, so like, cardioid, monocardioid, mono bidirectional, raw mid-side. It's got a bunch of different options. You've got a gain control. You've got some simple DSP in here, like a compressor and a limiter. So yeah, it's super handy, and you can record locally to the phone, or you can use that just as audio for like a Facebook live stream or live stream anywhere else. So those are two kind of mobile solutions.
If you have also, so you're using your phone, but maybe you have like a Zoom recorder. I've used this before to stream with my phone. Just via USB to Lightning for an iPhone as an example. So you're able to use this onboard mics. If you have the H6 like this, you can actually swap this mic capsule out, or even plug in an external source or another device into it as well. So that's also another option if you have one of these handy.
Let's see how we're doing on questions. And no more questions. So how are we doing on topics? I think we've covered a bunch of ground.
Those are the basics. I think some future topics we might want to cover are inside of these platforms. There's a lot of configurations, channel graphics, titling your stream. There's kind of a next step there to, if you don't have to do this, but it's just a way to organize your content online and just kind of add that finishing touch to your channel. So I think that would probably be better for like another stream.
Mm-hmm. Chroma keys and filters are interesting.
Lighting is something we didn't touch on, but we can cover that. You can see in my studio here, we actually have these 2 LED lights that we've been using. But to get started, I mean, we really want to focus on the audio and video, and lighting is kind of something you can up-level your production with. But if you're just getting started, there's no reason to just try to throw in the lighting on top of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, no more questions, and I think that was a good first run.
Cool. Okay. Well, Bradley, myself, Justin, throwing in that lower third there. Yeah, I think that's about it. Always, you can always feel free to reach out to us on the various Instagram. There's a modular channel. You can actually just send us a DM here, right in Twitch chat. If you have another follow-up question later, you can reach out there.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to do a couple more of these. Maybe for some future topics, we thought it would be interesting to show some more advanced setups, like what we do for Modular Seattle when we're streaming modular nights. Kind of what does that setup look like? What are some of the hardware options? Another possibility is to go deeper into the Monster Planet setup. Now that setup it's very different because we're using the layers in OBS almost like a creative landscape to try to add lots of different camera streams, lots of different video inputs, and merge them together in interesting ways, using things like filters and chroma keys. We use animated GIFs a lot, stuff like that. So we also have some interesting things in the Monster Planet setup where we separate the concern between the computer that's actually running the stream from the computer that's doing a lot of the creative compositing. So those are kind of interesting, more advanced scenarios, and it's sort of a how we do it scenario. It might not necessarily apply to you, but I think you might learn a little bit about some of the deeper features of OBS that we're using.
Yep. And then if you're in the CNOS Discord channel, just created today, there's a live stream channel, so that's where all the various live stream discussions can take place. And then also, when you do get up and running, please plug your link into the Gone Live channel, and that just helps everyone get instant visibility when they see that channel is lit up, that someone's posted a link to their live, and it helps find that live content so people can jump in and join you for your lecturing.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for hanging in, and hopefully this is the first of many other live streams to come. So, awesome.
Cheers.
All right. See you guys later. Bye. Slow pan out the studio to on this little jib thing.